Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, we're excited to feature an arrangement from Samantha Muir. Now, if you're not familiar with her, I'll go ahead and link some of her socials below, but she's largely known as a classical ukulele player, although she does a lot more than just classical music, such as the piece we're going to be learning in this week's lesson, which is called Morrison's Jig, and Morrison's Jig is a traditional Irish tune. Now, the cool thing about this arrangement is that it has a little trick up its sleeve. So this song is going to be arranged for baritone ukulele, and you have to make one change in the tuning. So you have to take that fourth string and tune it up a whole step. So the fourth string on a baritone is a D note. You have to tune it up to an E. And doing so actually makes playing this song much easier because the song is written in E Dorian. So that means we're going to be playing E minor chords quite a bit throughout this tune. Now, I'll give you an example. The second chord that you play in this arrangement, if we did not change the tuning of the ukulele, we would have to play it like this, with this giant stretch from 2 to 7. But because we are taking this top string and going up a whole step, that means that we can play the chord with open strings all above. Much easier than having to do this crazy stretch. So just keep that in mind as you jump into this. You will have to change the fourth string, the tuning of it going up a whole step. Now let's talk a little bit about the difficulty level of this piece. I think this song is going to be best suited for the advanced player. And one of the things that makes it challenging to play is the tempo that Samantha performs it at. She plays it at a very fast tempo. So if you want to make it a little bit easier, you can slow that tempo down. Now you don't want to slow it too far down because keep in mind that jig translates to dance, so we want to have it lively. We want to have an upbeat tempo, but going at the speed she plays at is extremely challenging. So if you can't get there, don't worry, the song still sounds just as fun at a slightly slower tempo. Now with that said, let's take a step back. Let's talk a little bit about this lesson. So in this video, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play the first half of the tune. So this lesson is our part 1 lesson, and in the part 2 lesson, Matt's going to teach you the second half of the song, which you can watch by clicking that link right there, or going to the site rockclass101.com, doing a search for the song's name. Now also on that page will be the tabs that you can print off to follow along with, plus the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a great feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a great asset in learning this tune that much easier. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this. Don't forget to grab the baritone and tune that fourth string up to an E. And I'll catch you at the end of the video.
Hello! In today's video, we're going to learn a solo baritone ukulele arrangement of Morrison's Jig done by Samantha Muir, one of my favorite ukulele players. What makes this arrangement so special is it uses a high E tuning, which means we're going to take our D string and we're going to raise it a whole step to E to create this open E minor chord. That sounds absolutely awesome. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to bring the camera down. Should look something like this with the tab. Now to start here, we're going to play an E minor chord, which is just all open. Now you can use your thumb to strum through this, or you can use four-finger picking to pluck through it. You can even use your index finger to strum through. As this song repeats different parts, you can use different techniques to create different variations of this part. So what I like to do at first is just use my thumb to kind of strum through softly, and then in later times I like to be a little bit more aggressive and strum through it all the way. But I'm going to start with just the thumb all the way through. Then I'm going to play a different E minor chord, just the 7th fret with my pinky finger here on the first string, strum through all the way. And that first measure is complete. Pretty straightforward. There aren't a lot of straightforward measures here, so we'll take it. We go on the second measure now. We're going to play the E minor again with the open. Then we're going to play 7 on the A string with our pinky finger here. Now, when I'm playing this stuff, I'm going to use more fingerstyle technique. I like to use 3 and 4 finger picking to get comfortable. Whatever you're more comfortable with, you should try to utilize. You'll see I mostly use 3 finger with this. There's a video on that you can check out right over here. But I'm going to pluck the 7 on the first string. And then I'm going to play the 5th fret on the first string using my index finger here, because as I play that 5th fret, I'm going to set up my ring finger here on the 7th fret of the 2nd string and my middle finger here on the 7th fret of the 3rd string, so that I can play that 1st string, then the 2nd string, then the 3rd string sequentially, because that closes out that measure. So we have that little riff going. And when you hear these 2 measures now played together, it should sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going into the next pair of measures, we're going to start with that same open E minor. Can use the thumb through again if you want. Then we're immediately going to play 7 on the first string using our ring finger here. We're going to do a pull-off to open on that first string. We're going to do a lot of pull-offs in this tune. It's something that makes it really sound great, and it can help provide the speed. A quick tip with the pull-off is make sure you're actually plucking the string with your fretting hand. You don't just take the finger off, you actually want to pluck it to create that sound. It's a little easier on a baritone ukulele than it is on a tenor, which works in our favor here. So after I've done that pull-off there, I go to an E minor chord again with the 7th fret here, with that ring finger this time. And then I'm going to play the 9th fret here with my pinky finger, or excuse me, my ring finger sliding up to the 9th fret, because the very next thing here on measure 4 is going to be this D chord. See how the ring finger's here at 9 of the first string? Well, the pinky is going to come on to 10 of the first string, and the index is going to bar across the 7th fret of the 2nd and the 3rd strings there. I'm going to play the 7, the 7, and the 10. I can finger pick that, or I can do a little strum through with the thumb if I want. Just keep in mind that when you're playing this faster, the thumb strum can be a little bit slow, so finger picking can be preferred to build up speed. I'm going to pluck those 3, do a pull off to the 9, which remember we had that ring finger there on 9 earlier, so if we just leave it on, makes it a lot easier. Then we're going to play the 7th fret on the first string, which we just take our ring finger off and we notice that the bar is already there. Then we're going to play the 10th fret of the 2nd string, add the pinky finger on here. Then do a pull off to the 7th fret. And that's a tricky one, but make sure you've got that bar, and that pull off will get easier. And then you're going to play 7 on the 3rd string to close that measure. So we have that sort of... And the 2 measures together should sound something like this. Going on to the 5th and 6th measures here, we're going to play the E minor just open on the 1st and the 4th string together. And then the 7th fret of the 3rd string with the ring finger, open on the 1st string. Then the E minor again with the 7th fret on the 1st string, but we're going to use our pinky finger this time, taking everything else off. Do a pull off. And then the 7th fret again with that pinky finger. So we have that. And the 6th measure here, we're going to play all the way through our open E minor, all zeros. Then we're going to play 7 on the 1st string with our 4th finger, which is our pinky finger here, and then index there on the 5th fret. And then we're going to do that same thing we did before, building that D chord. Remember when we played that 0, 7, 7, 5 on measures 1 and 2? This measure, measure 6, is actually exactly the same as that measure 2 is, building that exact same shape. These 2 measures now together, 5 and 6, should sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going on now to measure 7. This one's a little bit challenging. We're going to play open and 8. Open on the 3rd string, 8 on the 2nd string. Just slide your ring finger up 1 fret to get that 8th fret. Pluck the open and the 8th fret together. Then play 7 with your middle finger here on the 1st string. And then 3 on the 8th fret with your 3rd finger here, just that we already have fretted. And then we have to transition to this D chord by taking our index and sliding it into bar across the 7th fret of the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st strings. And we're going to pluck our 2nd and 3rd strings together. Then we're going to hammer onto the 8th fret of the 2nd string with our middle finger. And then we're going to pluck the 10th fret of the 2nd string with our pinky. So a nice little run here sounds like this. Oops, right fingering. Really important to get the right fingering with this to build up the speed. Going on to the 8th measure here, we're going to hold that bar where it is across the 7th fret of the 1st, 2nd, 3rd strings. We're going to take our pinky and move it to 10 on the 1st string. We can strum through or pick those 3 notes. And then we're going to play 8 on the 2nd string. Middle finger just comes on there. Then play 7 by taking it off. Then play 9 with the ring finger on the 3rd string and do a pull off to 7, which is already there with the bar. So that has that sort of feel. And this is what measures 7 and 8 now sound like as a pair in time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, when I'm playing this, you'll notice sometimes I might throw a little pull-off in there at times to help with speed. The pull-offs can be really a nice assistant technique. You can see that they're written on the tab, and those are ones that you should definitely do. But sometimes, like that 8 to 7 that's played on measure 8, you can actually do a pull-off there if you want. And another pull-off there at 9 to 7. It's just whatever makes it easier for you to play. But that is melody A. Let's go ahead and hear what it sounds like when Samantha plays it at full speed, which is much faster than we're learning it here. It should be something like this.
1, 4, 1, 4.
So now we're on to Melody A Part 2. We're going to start with our same E minor chord, all open. We're going to play open on the 1st string again. We're going to play 7 on the 1st string with our pinky finger here. Do a pull off, and then play the 7 again. Pretty straightforward measure from what we've learned so far. Going into the 10th measure, we play open on our E minor. And then we're going to play the 7 with the pinky again, pull off to open. And then we're going to do that little D chord run that we've done a couple times. So index finger on the 5th fret of the 1st string, ring finger on the 7th fret of the 2nd string, and the middle finger here on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. So it has that sort of sound of. And measures 9 and 10 together should sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going into the 11th and 12th measures here, you're going to see this looks very familiar because these passages have repeats, sometimes with a little bit of variation. In this case, we're going to play our open 1st and open 4th strings together. 7 on the 3rd string with our 2nd finger. Open on the 1st string. Then we're going to play the 7th fret with our ring finger on the 1st string. Do a pull off to the 1st finger here on the 5th fret of the 1st string. A lot of numbers, right? Then we're going to play the 7th fret with our ring finger here. And that measure sounds like this. Going into the 12th measure, we're going to slide up that bar across 7 on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. We're going to add our pinky finger here on the 10th fret of the 1st string. Pluck those 3 together. Then we're going to do the pull off to 9. Remember that ring finger we want to have preset on 9 so that we can get the pull off correct there. Then we're going to play 7 on the 1st string, which you can see we just have with the bar. And then 10 with our pinky finger on the 2nd string. Do a pull off to 7 there. And then we're going to play 7 on the 3rd string, which is already part of the bar. So that measure. And the 2 measures together, 11 and 12, should sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going into the 13th and 14th measures, these should look very familiar because we're going to go with our all open E minor, open on the first string, and then we're going to play that 7 on the first string for the second E minor chord. So pull off to 0, come back on to 7. It should look familiar, sounds like this. The 14th measure now, we're going to play open all through, and then 7 pull off, and we're going to that same little D chord run. Same thing that we played at the very beginning of the tune as well. So that sounds like this. And the pair of measures, 13 and 14, should sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now as we go on to measures 15 and 16 here, these are kind of challenging. We're going to go to 8 on the second string. Now we've done this before, but we used different fingers. And the reason is the passage is a little bit different. So it's really important to pay attention to the fingers that are used here on 15 and 16 because they're a little different than what we've used prior. We're going to play the 8 on the second fret with our pinky finger. And we want to leave our ring finger on 7 of the second string as well. That was already there from the previous chord. We're going to leave it in play. We're going to pluck our third and our second strings together with that 8th fret on the second string. We're going to do a pull off to 7, and that's a really tough one. Especially tough to do slow, because when I do that pull off, if I pluck it, it's easy to kind of hit multiple strings. So it's actually a little easier to do this one fast. So don't worry about getting perfect tone with that at slow speed, because it's actually harder than when you're just going real quick. But we're gonna do that pull off, and then we're gonna play the 8 again with the pinky, and then we're going to move our ring finger to 7 of the first string, take the pinky off, play our first, second, and third strings together with that ring finger on 7, add your index here on 5, and then pull off to it, and then play 8 on the second string with the pinky. It's a tricky passage, a lot of important fingerings. It sounds and looks something like this though, really slow. Going right into measure 16, we're going to play the 7th fret of the second string with our ring finger. See how it's almost ready to go there? And then we leave our index where it was on 5, and then we play 8 with our pinky finger. And if you left your ring finger there, it's all ready to go to then play 7. And then the index needs to come up to the 5th fret of the second string for your ring finger to then pull off to that 5th fret. Kind of tricky. And then after that, you're going to take that index and slide it down 2 frets and pluck that 3rd fret there on the second string. So that little measure looks like this. Easy to get some buzzes there. That's where it becomes really important to be really precise with your fingering and your fretting. It's tough. This is a tough tune, but man, it is so much fun. So this is what measures 15 and 16 sound like. Something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now let's go and hear what this entirety of Melody A Part 2 should sound like, played by the master herself, Samantha. It should sound something like this.
Alright guys, so a big congrats on getting the first half of this tune down. If you'd like to learn the second half, Matt's going to be teaching that in the Part 2 lesson, which you can watch by clicking this link right here, or going to the site rockclass101.com and doing a search for the song's name. Now also on that page will be the tabs that you can print off to keep for your records, plus that really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. So you can literally hit play, you can watch that tab scroll across in real time, highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down, all that fun jazz. So guys, again, I hope you enjoyed learning the first half, and we'll catch you in the Part 2 lesson. Take care.